To start this recipe, we're going to take 1 can of condensed milk and add it to some cornstarch. Next, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of butter, and now I'm going to mix everything together until it is well incorporated. This recipe only has 3 ingredients. It is so easy to do. Once everything is mixed up, it's going to start to look like this. As I was mixing my recipe, I noticed that mine was a bit too liquidy and not the point that we need it to be. So I'm going to be adding a bit more cornstarch. Now, this step completely depends on the brand of your condensed milk. You might not need to do this. If you don't need to, don't add any more cornstarch. Okay, now that I've added a bit more cornstarch, I'm going to mix it with a spoon, and it's starting to become a little bit tough here. So at this point, when you can't use a spoon or a fork, use your hands, just like this. This recipe is so amazing. Okay, this is the texture. It's going to look like this. Once it turns into a dough, we are going to place this onto a cutting board. I'm going to roll it out into a bit of a loaf here. Once it's flattened like this, I'm going to cut it into strips. We want this to try and be even squares. It's going to help us keep our dough in similar sizes. Okay, so we're going to take our pieces and we are going to start to roll them into balls. We want our balls to be the same size. It's important that our balls are not different sizes. Just remember that. That's why I cut it into even pieces. Okay, now we're going to take our dough balls and we're going to add them to a pan, just like this. It's important that they're spaced out well enough because they can't stick together. This space is really, really important to make sure our recipe is going to turn out. Now I'm going to take a fork and I'm going to just gently press onto these dough balls just to make a little bit of an imprint. It's going to make our cookies look super pretty. This isn't necessary. Only do this step if you want to, but I suggest doing it. Okay, now that we've pressed down on our cookies, we're going to bake this for 12 minutes at 356 degrees Fahrenheit. Only 12 minutes. All right, our cookies are ready. This recipe is going to melt in your mouth. They are so good. Try it at home. For today's recipe, we're going to need ham and cheese. When you're layering your ham and cheese, it's really important that the last piece is ham. All right, I'm going to cut it in half so you can see what it looks like. Oh, look at all those layers of ham and cheese. Oh, so good. Remember that the last piece needs to be ham or else our other steps aren't going to work. So I'm separating this here, but you can see that there's a piece of cheese on top. We're going to need to make sure that we add a piece of ham here. All right, for our next step, we're going to need some flour. So add our flour to a shallow dish. And then we have 4 eggs here. Again, add them to a shallow dish and using a fork, just whisk these up so they're all mixed together. All right, and the last ingredient that we have is going to be Doritos. So I have some Doritos here. I'm just going to use my hands and crush them up into really small pieces. Just using your hands, you can do this. It might take you a few minutes. We need these to be really small pieces. All right, the next step is breading. So I'm going to take my ham cheese triangle and I'm going to first dip it in flour and try and get this as well covered in flour as you possibly can. Try not to leave any empty spaces. And then it's going to go into our eggs, just like this. All right, now it's going to go back into the flour. This needs to be a really, really well breaded process. Okay, again, we're going to take this once it's covered in flour and put it back into the egg. And then back into the flour. Cover it as well as you can. And yes, back into the egg. One more time. There you go. Okay, now that it's done with our egg and flour, I'm going to make sure this is all evenly covered. We're going to take this and dip it into our crushed Doritos. So you can start to see how it's going to look. It is so delicious. This is really such a perfect recipe for kids because, I mean, we're using Doritos. They're going to love it. Okay, now that it's starting to look like this, we're going to take it over to our frying pan. You're going to need hot oil. So slowly and carefully lower this into the oil to fry. Okay, we're going to get this an oil bath. So just like I'm doing it here, be very careful, but start to splash oil on top of our Doritos. Once it's starting to cook, we're going to take 2 forks and very carefully flip it over. You need to do it exactly like this or else it's not going to be as crispy. Okay, we're going to take it out of the oil now that it's done, and you can hear just how crispy this is. It's going to be so tasty. Oh, look at that cheese pull. I hope you make this at home. It's so good.
Whenever I cook chicken like this, there is nothing left over. It's so good. So to start our recipe, we're going to add 2 cut up chicken breasts. I cut them into small cubes. And then we're going to add 3 eggs and also add 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise and 1 tablespoon of salt. Then add 1 tablespoon of black pepper, 1 spoonful of paprika, and now just mix everything together really well. I always make this recipe at home. It's one of my go-tos, and it's just so perfect. My family's always asking me to make this recipe, and I love making it. Now, after mixing, this stage of the recipe is ready. So to add a little bit more flavor to this recipe, we're going to add some grated cheese. I would say 100 grams is enough. Then add a little bit of parsley for some herbaceous seasoning. Parsley is just going to make our recipe tastier and super colorful. I love adding parsley. Now we're going to add some fried garlic. I would say just 1 tablespoon will be enough. And just mix everything together again. And look already how delicious it looks. This is great. Now after mixing, our recipe is actually almost ready. We're just going to go ahead and set aside. And then the next step is to heat a pan with oil. Just add small portions of your chicken to the pan. You can really make portions of the size and the shape that you prefer. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than a hamburger, just like this. Now arrange it well in your pan, like so. And now we're just going to fry for a few minutes. Now, after you have fried for a few minutes, you can turn it over to fry on the other side. Just, of course, be careful not to burn yourself. And then just turn over and fry again for a few minutes on the other side. Let's say you want to fry for probably about 5 minutes. And after this time, our chicken dumplings are ready. So remove the chicken from the pan and serve on a plate. I mean, look at how beautiful and it just looks and smells so tasty. I mean, really, once you make this recipe at home, you'll know firsthand, but the smell is just herbaceous and seasoned. I think we should go ahead and try it. So this chicken is super seasoned. It's tasty, it's juicy. It can be served with rice or salads. The meat is tender and perfectly cooked. The flavor's perfect, and the cheese is our special ingredient. So good. My mouth is watering. I'm going to dig in, so enjoy your meal.
Don't eat bread. You want to make this delicious recipe for breakfast. Let's start by taking a banana and using a fork, just mash that banana well. I'm just using a fork here and it goes by really fast. Just like this. This recipe is easy, it's quick, and I love it because it's super healthy. Let's go ahead and do that again with another banana. Now you can serve this recipe for breakfast, but it also makes such a good afternoon snack. It's easy and super simple. All right, once we're done mashing those bananas, let's set that aside. In a bowl, add 2 eggs, and go ahead and mix those eggs up well. I'm just using a fork for this step. And of course, this part of the process is super simple. Now, of course, if you prefer, you're more than welcome to use a whisk or a hand mixer here. But in my opinion, a fork works perfectly well. Now let's go ahead and take those bananas that we mashed earlier and add them to the bowl. This recipe is so delicious. All right, go ahead and stir that again. Just mix the bananas with the eggs just like this. I make this recipe at home all the time and everybody always loves it. I like to pair this with a delicious afternoon coffee. Plus, it's so easy to make. All right, after stirring well, we're going to add oats. All in all, we'll need about 4 tablespoons of oats. Once your oats are added, go ahead and stir it again. And you'll notice that the oats really change the texture of our batter. I really do love making this recipe because it's healthy and the kids just love it. You are going to love the taste of this pancake. All right, after this is all mixed up, we are going to set this aside. And over here in a pan, you're going to add a small amount of butter. Replace with olive oil or oil if you prefer, but coconut oil also works really well for this step. We're going to turn the heat on low, just like this, and add that banana batter. Oh, my mouth is watering. This looks and smells so good. Spread it well all over the pan. And once it's spread out, we want to go ahead and cover and leave it to cook for a few minutes. All right, after a few minutes, our pancake is almost ready, but first we need to flip it over so we can cook the other side. Just gently use a spatula, just like that, looking so good. I'm now going to cover this just to speed up the process, and this really only needs to cook for about 2 minutes. All right, and that's it. Our pancake is ready. Let's go ahead and turn off the heat and we can serve this on a plate. It is definitely time to call the family over to enjoy this pancake with us. This is such a healthy and quick recipe. Now, of course, we have to finish it with some cinnamon powder on top. This ingredient is optional but adds so much flavor. You can also mix the cinnamon in while you're preparing the batter, and that will be delicious as well. You can also add other ingredients like strawberries, cheese, or dark chocolate. That would all be so delicious, but we have to give this a try. So yummy. This recipe is absolutely perfect. Enjoy.
If you have a can of condensed milk and a can of peaches at home, make this dessert. Everyone will love it. To start this recipe, we're going to open our can and pour half of the peaches into a bowl. You want to separate the fruit from the liquid. Next, we're going to add the peach pieces to a bowl. And then using a mixer, just crush those peaches. So this is the perfect result that we are looking for. Crushed peach is so ideal for our recipe. It's going to be so good. So now add 1 can of condensed milk and let's prepare a perfect dessert that you will want to make over and over again. It's just such a tasty result, so I promise you're going to love this one. Now we're just going to mix again in the mixer. And after mixing everything really well, let's continue the recipe. So set that aside, and then in a bowl, we're going to add 1 cup of very cold whipped cream and just mix really well with the mixer. So at this point, you will have a perfect whipped cream, super whipped and fluffy, and we're simply going to pour the peach mixture into a mold. So pour all the contents into the whipped cream and just mix everything again. Now, after mixing everything really well, let's continue the recipe. We're going to pour some milk chocolate into the whipped cream. I added 200 grams of milk chocolate. And just stir and mix everything really well until all ingredients disappear. Chocolate is really our special ingredient here. Also, what's great, this dessert will be ready in less than 20 minutes. Now, after mixing everything really well, it's time to go ahead and pop it in the fridge. We're going to pour the cream into a larger bowl. smell of the peach is so, so wonderful. And if you prefer, you can replace the chocolate with some citrus fruits. That works too. You just want to make sure to spread it really, really well. When you make this at home, your whole family is just going to love this dessert. So spread it on all sides, and this is the result that we are looking for. We're just going to refrigerate this for 5 hours. Now, the colder it is, the tastier it becomes. So as a reward for your patience, our peach ice cream with condensed milk is now ready. Let's go ahead and try it. So serve a generous amount to your family. I'm going to serve this in a glass. This ice cream is super creamy, you can tell. Man, my mouth is watering. I am so excited to try this. So finish with more peach pieces to make it even more delicious, or you can finish with some caramel if you would like that. I'm not going to add any more ingredients because I kind of think it's perfect just as it is, but up to you. You can get creative. And let's go ahead and eat. Enjoy. I don't fry eggplant, I only do it like this. So to start this recipe, we're going to separate 2 eggplants. And you want to just start by cutting them into slices. So cut up all of those vegetables, and once you've finished, you'll have large slices of eggplant. We're just going to season with some salt. The amount of salt is optional, but you can kind of see how much I'm using. Now just mix those eggplants with your salt. It's really important to season your vegetables really well. Now the next step is to add these slices to a baking dish. There's no need to add olive oil or any oil yet. This recipe is going to be so, so good. It's perfect and it's really full of flavor and it's healthy. I love the taste of eggplants in this recipe. Now set aside for just a few minutes and we're going to continue our recipe by adding 3 garlic cloves to a bowl. Also add half a teaspoon of black pepper, 1 tablespoon of oregano, and 1 spoonful of paprika. Then just finish with a tablespoon of salt. And now we're going to add a little bit of olive oil on top. The amount is optional, just a little drizzle. Mix well until you have a perfect sauce that's just full of flavor. Now, after mixing well, we're going to pour this over our eggplant. So with a small knife, make some small cuts in your vegetables. And just repeat the process with all of them. So once you've finished, it is time to season. The cuts kind of serve as a place to add the seasoning to the vegetable, really getting it into the vegetable. So just spread that seasoning inside of the eggplant and all of those cuts. Now I'm going to do this with a kitchen brush, but you can spread it with a spoon or maybe even your hands. I love the taste of the seasoning. It's so perfect. Just finish the process with all of your eggplants. And that's it. Our eggplants are now well seasoned. We're going to put them in the oven at 350 degrees for 15 minutes. And after removing the eggplants from the oven, we're just going to finish with slices of tomato. I'm going to add the tomato on top of my eggplant. Make this recipe at home. It's just so good. You're going to be amazed. Now, after adding the tomato, we're going to finish with some grated cheese. You can really add as much or as little cheese as you like. And you can substitute the type of cheese if you prefer. It'll be super tasty. Now, after adding the cheese to all of the slices, we're going to bake in the oven until the cheese is a nice golden brown color. Once it is, that's it. Our eggplant is ready. So I recommend making this recipe as an accompaniment to barbecue, or you can serve it with rice and meat. Should we go ahead and taste it? So serve this on a plate, invite your family to try it. The taste of this eggplant with tomato, it's just so perfect. And with the cheese, yum. The vegetables are soft, full of flavor. So serve this recipe while it's hot and enjoy.
Even those who don't like chicken are going to love this recipe, so you've got to give it a try. So we're going to start by taking 3 large chicken breasts and just score them with a knife like this. I'm making some diagonal slits, and now we're going to go ahead and prepare our seasoning. So in our bowl here, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil, along with a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Let's add a little bit of salt and some black pepper. I'm also going to season with some oregano and some rosemary for a delicious flavor. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, along with 2 garlic cloves that I've just minced in advance. Let's give that a good stir and mix until a delicious sauce is formed. Now this is going to be our seasoning and sauce for our chicken. You've got to try this recipe at home. It is incredibly flavorful. Okay, now that our sauce has come together, we got our chicken here. We're just going to add that right into the bowl with that sauce. I'm going to start with cut side down and then flip it over so the entire chicken breast is fully coated. And we're going to repeat this process with the rest of the chicken. I just love the taste of this chicken. It's incredibly delicious. It's perfect, really. And your family's going to love it too. Now we're just going to let this sit in the sauce for about 30 minutes because we want this chicken to be super flavorful. In a large baking dish, add 2 large chopped onions. So delicious. I love onion. We're also going to add in some tomatoes. Just add the tomatoes right on top of the onion like this. This is looking delicious. And we are going to prepare this all while our chicken is still marinating. Spread the tomatoes out well. All right, our chicken has been marinating for a while. It's time to add it now. And we're going to add the pieces on top. This chicken's been sitting in the sauce for about half an hour. The flavor of this chicken is incredible. I love it so much. Let's bake this in a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. All right, it's been 20 minutes. I'm now going to add some grated mozzarella cheese on top. Now you can add any other type of cheese that you prefer. Once we add the cheese, we're going to bake it for another 10 minutes just so our cheese can brown and get nice and melted. All right, our chicken is ready. Our cheese is melted. It is time to give this a taste. Look how absolutely delicious this is. We've got our vegetables in there. That cheese is incredible. I am in love with this chicken recipe. And it just smells heavenly. You've got to give this a try at home and enjoy this delicious chicken. Bon appetit!
This is the perfect recipe for breakfast. So we're going to start by adding 3 eggs to a bowl. And I'm telling you, the taste of this recipe, it's going to surprise you. This is a very easy and practical recipe. I love making it. So just add a little bit of salt now for seasoning. Add some black pepper. And 1 spoonful of paprika. And then with the help of a whisk, you just want to mix that really well. Now add 50 grams of grated mozzarella cheese. I love adding cheese to recipes. Add a little bit of parsley for seasoning and just stir and mix everything together. Now, when finished, just set aside. And then in a saucepan, we're going to add some butter. And then just turn on the heat to a nice medium temperature and let it melt. I love making this recipe for my children. They love this recipe too. These eggs just go perfectly with breakfast. And of course, my children love to eat these eggs for breakfast. So after melting the butter, we're just going to separate the egg and cheese mixture. And now we're going to add 1 loaf of bread to the egg mixture. And you just want to do this until the mixture is well spread on your bread. The parsley makes the bread even tastier, so good. Now we're going to fry the slice of bread in the pan with butter. Now do this over a low heat so it doesn't burn. And soon you will have an incredible breakfast. Now see how easy it is to make such a delicious and tasty breakfast. So next we're just going to pour some of the egg and cheese mixture over that bread. Now just let that cheese melt. It looks so good. The tip is to always cook at medium or at low heat so you have more control Nothing burns, the cheese doesn't stick to the pan, and it just looks so wonderful. Now, after a few minutes, carefully turn the slice of bread over and fry it again on the other side. And then add another quantity of eggs with cheese. The cheese is definitely our special and favorite ingredient in this dish. Just spread the cheese all over the bread. And then turn the slice of bread over once more. And I mean, look at how beautiful and super crispy it is. And the taste is going to be amazing. Your family will always ask you to make this breakfast. It is the perfect breakfast sandwich recipe. The flavor is just so incredible. And you can also add other spices or ingredients if you prefer. Now, after frying on both sides, we're just going to remove the bread from the pan and serve on a plate. You can go ahead and cut it in half to make it a little bit easier. My mouth is watering. I am so excited to eat this. This recipe is perfect. Please enjoy. Try this recipe at home and fall in love with it. I don't ever buy pizza anymore. I make it at home with bread. So start this recipe by spreading margarine on your pan. You want to really grease your pan well with the margarine to prepare for your pizza. So just make sure to spread it out really well. Now also you can replace with olive oil or any kind of mold release agent or oil. Then add the pieces of bread to your pan. Now, the bread is going to serve as our pizza dough. Kind of fun. You want to use unpeeled bread and just fill the entire pan. Now we're going to put tomato sauce on top. You can kind of place it in different spots. And the amount of sauce we're adding is really to taste. So add more sauce if you prefer a moister pizza, or add less if you like something a little drier. And just place it well along the sides. Now, after finishing with that, we're going to add our sliced ham. Similarly, the amount of ham depends on the size of your pan or how many people you will be feeding with this pizza. So up to you, but this is how much I am using. I added approximately 200 grams of ham. I personally love a pizza with a good amount of filling. Now we're going to add slices of mozzarella cheese to cover all of the ham. Cover and really use a good amount of cheese. Now add slices of pepperoni. You can kind of add little by little and spread them out in little places. Pepperoni is optional, but make the pizza the way you want to make it. You can add chicken or any other kind of meat or just cheese. Honestly, the bread dough goes well with any filling. Now I'm just going to finish with some onion rings. You can add as much or as little as you like. In my opinion, onion just gives this pizza an extra special flavor. Now you can add some green corn or peas if you prefer. Get creative with what you have sitting around. Now add a good amount of catupiry to the pizza. This ingredient can also be substituted, but will really keep it creamy. And this pizza is going to be juicy and flavorful and just super, super tasty. Now season with some oregano. I highly recommend using oregano. This ingredient is super special. And now just bake in your oven at 320 degrees for 20 minutes. After that time, our pizza is ready. It smells so good and it looks so delicious. Should we go ahead and try it? Wow, the taste of this pizza, it's going to surprise you. Just remove with a spatula and serve it to your whole family. You absolutely need to try this bread pizza at home.
After I discovered this recipe, I never bought this at the grocery store again. Let's start this off by adding 300 mils of water to a bowl. We're also going to need 1 cup of cornstarch. Just go ahead and add all that cornstarch on top of the water. Give that a good mix. We want to try and dissolve all of that cornstarch into the water. It's going to look something like this. Once that's combined, let's set this aside. Moving on, in a pot, add 1 cup of sugar, along with 1 cup of water. Give that a good stir. We want to make sure that sugar and water is dissolved. Once it's dissolved, turn the heat up to high, and we are going to bring this to a boil. When it boils, continue with the recipe. Pour that cornstarch mixture into the pan. Give it a good stir. And you want to lower the heat at this stage because we don't want this to burn. That's really important. We want to keep stirring until we have a change in texture. Again, the tip here is to cook this on a low heat because we also don't want to have the taste of cornstarch in our recipe, and making sure we cook that out of it. All right, this is the texture we're looking for. It's super thick. Now go ahead and take out your whisk. At this point, I prefer to switch tools and go from a whisk to a spatula. We're going to add in 2 cups of sugar now, along with 1 tablespoon of butter. Give that another good mix. When the sugar has dissolved and looks like this, it's time for food coloring. My mouth is already watering. I know this is going to be good. Add 1 spoonful of blue food coloring. Just add it right into the mixture like this. Let's give that a good stir. I love the taste of this recipe, but I also love how colorful it is. It's just so beautiful. Give that a good mix together. Once that's well mixed, turn off the heat, and we are going to pour this mixture into a mold lined with plastic wrap. Once that is all added in, you are just going to seal this up with that plastic wrap. Just fold it over like this. And we're going to repeat this process with 2 other colors. I ended up doing yellow and red. Look how vibrant these are. We're going to put this in the fridge for 2 hours, and then once 2 hours is up, you can remove them from the mold. Go ahead and carefully remove that plastic wrap so we can cut these up. Don't forget to remove that plastic wrap though, that's pretty important. Now you can go ahead and slice these. You can cut them into whatever shape and size you prefer. Look how delicious these are, they're so smooth. Now, if you want, you can even use a cutter with different shapes. I know your kids are going to love this recipe. Look how amazing these look. This is the result. Now we're going to finish these off with some sugar. Just go ahead and toss them in some sugar, and our candies are ready. We have to give these a try. They look amazing. Enjoy.